Welcome to this training course in using the Benchmark Educator Facilitator file. This file is for use by AET facilitators at NQF Level 1, also known as AET Level 4. This is specifically for use when administrating the implementation of site-based assessments, referred to as SBAs. This file must be completed and sent to Benchmark together with the learner SBAs. The first 2 pages of the file are self-explanatory. Please make sure that you have filled in the center name, the educator or facilitator name, the learning area or subject that the file covers, and which examination session and year the file applies to. Then you can use the table of contents as a guideline to compile the file. The file has alphabetized dividers to help you locate a section quickly and easily. A checklist is provided to ensure that all required documents are sent to Benchmark. Section A calls for you to insert your current training timetable and SBA or Site-Based Assessment Implementation Plan in this divider. The direction sheet gives an example of a reasonable timetable and SBA implementation plan. Of course, your plan will be based on how you will introduce each SBA task to your learners. As noted on the direction sheet, your plan must take the submission deadline to Benchmark into consideration so that all required tasks are completed and ready to be submitted in good time. The documents under this section are important to Benchmark and Umalusi when moderating SBAs because it provides the assessment body and the Quality Council with an overview of whether the facilitator took time to go through the SBA tasks, plan, and then introduce them to the learners. The SBA Action Plan as detailed in Section B will be provided annually by Benchmark. It will correspond to the biannual exams. The document details the important SBA dates for the specific year and exam session, and who is responsible for implementing the required actions. Make sure you read both pages for both the first and second exam sessions, which usually correspond with June and November. Please note there is a difference between the assessment implementation plan required from the facilitator in Section A on how they intend to roll out the SBA tasks and the SBA action plan provided by Benchmark in Section B that mostly refers to responsibilities of key stakeholders and important dates. Each SBA must have a cover page as supplied in Section C. You also need to have one cover page per learner, so you will need to make multiple copies. Keep the original in the file to make copies as needed. Make sure that each individual page is filled out correctly, detailing the center name, the center number, the learner name and surname, and the learning area or subject. To obtain the SBA tasks for the learning areas or subjects listed under Section D, facilitators or center managers are required to go to the Benchmark website at the link shown on the page. You can find this web page by typing www.benchmark.co.za/examination into your web browser. The learning areas are communication in English, mathematical literacy, life orientation, economic and management science, small, medium, micro enterprises, human and social sciences, and natural sciences. To get the SBA marking guidelines for communication in English, mathematical literacy, life orientation, economic and management science, small, medium, micro enterprises, human and social sciences, and natural sciences, you will need to send an email to either of the addresses listed on the insert in Section EF. The guidelines are only available on request and not on the website, to guard against learners obtaining them. There are 2 types of SBA feedback forms, one that captures the interaction between the center moderator and the facilitator, and the other between the facilitator and the learner. Feedback forms must be completed after each SBA task. The feedback between the center moderator and facilitator should focus on the quality of marking and any interventions to support the learners. The feedback between the facilitator and learner should focus on the performance of the learner, including areas of improvement. In turn, the learner can also provide feedback to the facilitator regarding interest of the task or challenges faced to complete the task. Example forms for feedback from the moderator and facilitators and the facilitator and candidate are supplied. Part of the reason for benchmarks applying these examples, especially for learners, is that they are often uncertain about what to say and therefore reluctant to give feedback. These guidelines will give them some direction. You could post these on the wall of the classroom as suggested on the form, or give each learner their own copy. Facilitators must remember that feedback must always begin with positive reinforcement of the learner's work before addressing any necessary improvements required. Section GH starts with the individual learner SBA mark sheet. You will need a copy per learner, so ensure you have enough and keep the originals in order to make more. Make sure that each form has been correctly completed and signed off before submitting it to benchmark. Next comes the working mark sheet. Each working mark sheet is specific to a learning area. Therefore, facilitators must ensure that they use the correct one. Working mark sheets consolidate all the learning marks into one document. This enables benchmark and Umalusi officials to quickly moderate and verify respectively. Working mark sheets are also used to capture the SBA marks. This is why facilitators must record learner marks accurately. Remember to keep the originals so that you can make copies as necessary. Also remember to enter your name, surname, signature, and date in the space provided on the form. The Educator file should be sent along with the SBAs to benchmark before the stipulated deadline indicated in the SBA Action Plan. Before you send it, you must complete the SBA checklist that is supplied to ensure that all documentation is present and correct. There are some very important requirements mentioned in this checklist, such as the learner's signature on the cover page for each task, and which color pens should be used by the facilitator and moderators. You need to know this before you start marking, so go through these details beforehand. This is very important to ensure consistency. The penultimate section contains reference material compiled by Benchmark to help you get a thorough understanding of what site-based assessments are and what is required to complete them properly. We strongly suggest you familiarize yourself with these guidelines so that you can ensure you understand and implement SBAs effectively and successfully. The last section covers irregularities that might arise during the implementation of SBAs and how to deal with them. The report includes definitions of the kind of irregularities that must be reported and sections for detailing how the problem was identified and what actions were taken. Be sure to give as much detail as possible and complete all required fields applicable to the facilitator. If you are not sure of anything, please do not hesitate to contact our Quality Assurance Manager, who will assist you in completing the report.